Welcome back, Dank friends. We continue our Robot in 3 Days journey by sharing an historical example of the game theory framework. Experience the foundation of requirements-based robot design as we venture back to the before times, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Prepare your mind and body for the one that got away. Prepare yourselves for infinite recharge. All right. Welcome back, Dank friends. We are here to take the game theory that we learned about in our previous video and apply that to a real game and see what game theory looks like in practice. And I've got Jonathan here with me.
Yeah, so the game that we are going to be looking at is the 2020 Infinite Recharge game. So that's a game that not a lot of people got to experience in competition, so we thought it'd be fitting to do here. If you want to refamiliarize yourself with that game, we've attached links to the game reveal and the game manual down below.
Yeah, that was we actually got pretty lucky. We got one district event. I'm really grateful for that. And that was a crazy year.
It sure was.
That's a crazy year. All right. So how do we apply game theory to a game? Well, first, we start with a robot that can do everything. And then we walk it through each different phase of the game. So auto, teleop, and your end game. And the idea is hold constant all of the speeds and assumptions that you make. So if we assume the robot moves at a certain speed, can score in a certain amount of time, can take a certain amount of time to pick up an element, we just hold that constant through all the phases. And if we keep that assumption the same, we can assume that it's representative of how a given robot and a rational agent could act in the game. So the question that we ask next is, how do we score in a game? Jonathan?
Yep, so like Rufus mentioned, there are 3 phases per game. So in the autonomous period, the robot can move off the initiation line. They can score in the low goal, they can score in the high port, or they can score in the inner port, which is a special feature of this game, a second ring inside of the high goal. So in the autonomous period, they can do that. In the teleoperated period, it is similar. They can score in those same 3 places, or they can rotate the control wheel a certain number of times to gain points via that. And in the end game, there was a hanging bar in the middle that you can climb, and you get additional points if you are balanced with other robots up there.
Yeah, that the color wheel was interesting. It was a different scoring element.
Yep, and we will be talking about that soon.
Yeah. All right, let's do it. All right, so now if we apply game theory to infinite recharge and we look at our auto mode, we look and we say, okay, what is the first thing we can do in a match to score points?
Move,
boom. So we move, we score those points, and now we evaluate, okay, what can we do to optimally score points now?
Yep, so in Infinite Recharge, you could actually start with 3 fuel cells preloaded in your robot, so we can shoot those right off the bat in the inner port. There were also a number of pre-staged fuel cells around the field, so we can go over, pick 5 of those up, and move back and shoot those right into the inner port as well. And that brings us to the end of the autonomous period.
And that's how simple game theory is. As we start this, as you see, is at any given moment, what is the optimal action we can take to score the most points possible? So now let's move into teleop.
Yep.
All right, so we've ended auto near the ports. What does our rational agent do now?
Yes, and now we need more power cells. So we're going to go to the other side of the field, pick up 5 more power cells from our human player, go back to the ports, shoot all of them back into the inner port. Then we need more power cells. So we're going to go back to the other side of the field, pick up from the human player, back to our ports, shoot into the inner port, and we're going to go back to the...
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you. I think I'm starting to hear a pattern. So it sounds like there is what many would call a cycle of actions that we're repeating in order to score. The optimal actions that we repeat over and over again are patterns of play that we will see. And game theory helps highlight these, right? It allows us to see what those cycles are, what the general time of them will be, and how many points we can score during them. And this helps us really understand the pattern of play in a game. It can open up things like defense or choke points. But then there are also some curveballs when the cycles aren't as clear or there's additional actions that you can take. So I should probably edit it there.
Yeah, and one of those curveballs in this game is related to the control panel. So the control panel had two actions that you can do with it. If you remember from earlier, you can rotate it or you can set it to a certain color position. Both of those need a certain threshold of power cells to be scored before you can do that. So once we hit that threshold, we can go to the control panel, which is conveniently located in between the ports and the human player. So we can just do that on the way while we're driving and perform the appropriate action while we're doing that.
Nice. So with those curveballs in mind, we've gone through so many cycles. So what we can do is we can take our cycle time divided by the total amount of teleop and determine how many cycles we can get through. And that tells us how many points we can score. And so that is a very clear way to measure the strategy with the cycles into game theory, which leads us into endgame.
Yep, so endgame is the last period of the match. Oftentimes there will be an action that a robot can do only in those last few seconds of the match. So in this game, it's going to be hanging. We will get points if we're suspended off the ground in a hanging bar in the middle, and we'll get additional points if it's balanced. So our rational agent will go, they will hang, and they will make sure that the bar is balanced at the end of the match.
Nice and flat.
Yep.
Boom. All right, so that's a full match using game theory. We've applied this tool of a rational agent. The question we got to ask ourselves is, what good was this? What did we get out of it?
Yeah, so now that we've gone through this rational agent, this basic strategy, we can start to understand what kind of functions a robot's going to need to do in order to operate in this game. And we also have a great baseline to start looking at other strategies and evaluating them to see how much sense they make.
Yeah, and for example, we can say, okay, maybe we can score the least amount instead of the most amount and see what a minimum scoring could be. We could start to look at maybe there is different speeds and cycles that we can evaluate, right? As we do trade-offs between different things. So this baseline gives us a framework that we can evaluate a lot of different strategies and design decisions upon.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is helpful. Make sure to turn on notifications and follow us at Dankbots as we go along on this journey this week and next to bring some early ideas to the FRC community. We'll circle back with you later.